Hey guys, it's TF Nut. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing another action figure review. This time it's going to be of the brand new Marvel Legends series Target Exclusive Astonishing Ant-Man. Pretty cool to have a new Ant-Man in the line. You know, Quantumanium came out I think like 3 months ago at this point. I didn't see it. I couldn't be bothered. I don't even think the wave for Quantumanium is exactly out yet, which is kind of bizarre. Those waves usually come out with the movies. I think it's about to be released though. But just recently, as in like 2 or 3 weeks ago, this Ant-Man here started hitting some of my local stores. I've been a little busy and haven't been able to get to this review until now. But this is a pretty decent looking Ant-Man. The packaging here is really nice looking, I will say. And then we do have the barcode in case you need it right here, in case you need to find these at your local Targets. So here's the figure out of the packaging. It's a standard 360 for you guys that I usually do. And something that I was figuring about with this figure, because we knew what was going to happen with it, but it pretty much came to light. It's not really worth 25 bucks if you ask me. It's a decent looking figure. There's some good things about it. There's some things about the actual figure that are not great, not just QC issues like design choices with Hasbro. And it's really bare bones with the accessories. So this is a bit of a disappointing release if you ask me. Let's go ahead and take a look at the accessories that this figure comes with, and then we'll take a close look at the figure. This is all we got. This is all we got. Just these alternate hands. It's cool that we get accessories, I guess. I'm trying to look at the positives here, y'all. But this is it. You know, the figure that I showed off a second ago in the 360 comes packaged with a relaxed hand that we've gotten in recent years with the Marvel Legends line. And then fists that we usually get. These are the opposite hands for each set. I mean, I guess they look fine. You know, they're just molded in this blue color. There really is not much going on there. I will go ahead and show you. I'm not going to take that many photos this time around. Show you what both fists look like on the figure, as you see here. I mean, it's going to be a pretty good fit no matter what. And then we have the relaxed hands here in case you wanted to see that too. So what do I think that this should have come with? Definitely one of these little mini figures of Ant-Man. I believe this came with a 2018-2019 like Retro Wave 2 Ant-Man. You could have made it work. I mean, like, look at how the paint is done here. I know it's supposed to be the Hank Pym version, but like, look at that. You could have made it work, man. Come on, that is, you have this already. You literally have already done this. Just put it in there. That doesn't make any sense. I have one, so, you know, I'm not going to complain too much about it, but some people maybe skip down on that and don't have one. This, I believe, it actually came with Wasp. But still, like this, I don't know. We also have this, which I believe is from the 2021 Ultron figure. This is like a particle beam or something. This doesn't entirely make sense for Ant-Man to have it, but you could have made something work like this maybe if he held this or something. I don't know. Anything. And you know, I don't love this accessory. I really don't. But even if they included like one of these just as like particle effects or something, anything, man. Effects pieces we already own, minifigures we already should have in the line by now, an alternate head. We don't have an alternate head with this figure. That, or and like the helmet's not removable either. That is just, that's lazy. It's just a bunch of Hasbro's Marvel Legends figures. It's just hands now, and not even like a bunch of hands, just like one extra set of hands. Nothing else with some of these figures. It's disappointing, it's lazy, and I think it needs to stop. Like, the low effort, I'm getting really sick of it in this line. So apologies for the mini rant for that section, but I do want to say that this head sculpt here is pretty great. It is a really nice sculpt, and I do believe it's using the face printing tech that we've been getting on a lot of comic figures lately. Zooming in a little bit, the blue eyes, all that looks really great. The lip color, all the sculpt work looks really good. Doesn't look too fuzzy in the face printing either. Again, I do wish we had a unmasked head. I've seen people put the 20th anniversary Captain America head on this as if it's like a Hank Pym head, so you can make another Hank Pym Ant-Man. And I know we're getting a Hank in the West Coast Avengers set. But, you know, I wish we had a Scott Lang head sculpt, you know? That would have been nice to see. This exact helmet head sculpt, though, is really nice. These are really, really, really soft plastic. So if this falls over and then these bend, it could probably warp for, you know, a decent amount of time. So just be weary with that. At least these are not, like, super brittle, so you're not going to end up breaking it or anything. Again, the head sculpt here, looking really good. And this helmet is, it looks like it's molded in this silver, but it's a really good way that they've done it. It looks a little swirly, just mostly actually it's like a break in the plastic right here, but it really doesn't look that bad. It's a little voice piece right there too. That silver metallic head sculpt is really well done. And then people have, you know, pried this out, so it's just an empty mask. Everything else about this body, let's just go ahead and briefly talk about it. It is the Sunfire and then the second version of Spider-Man 2099 body. We've gotten this with a bunch of different figures. Every year we're getting like different figures with this exact body. And I don't necessarily dislike this body. I actually think it works pretty well with this version of Ant-Man. One thing I do want to bring out for comparison was I believe this was also an Astonishing Ant-Man. The previous one, when they announced this and showed this off, it was very reminiscent of this one here. The Toy Biz original, like Giant Man Series 1. And this is still one of my favorite Toy Biz Marvel Legends of all time. You can see how some of the similarities are done. Of course, some of the paint decals are definitely different, but you're looking, and you can tell, like, proportion-wise, too, they're both kind of similar, even though this has a much larger torso. But this one still goes hard, because it's a little hard to do it, but this helmet, that pops off easily. I think there might only be a little bit of silver bleeding on there, but, like, over the years, it's been like a decade since I've had this. Like, this still holds up. That is really, and you pop that back on, yeah, I love that. I love that. I wish they recreated it here. They would have had an absolutely banger if they did that. You know, there's some paint splotching on the chest here, which I really wish there wasn't. I would have been able to, you know, get away from that if I actually saw the figure before purchasing it. But the rest is like black paint on here with like a glossy black paint on the more matte red. In some areas, the red is glossy, but all that looks great. Especially, you know, the top of the back and the neck separated from the rest of the back. Everything else you're pretty familiar with. There's no pinless tech, which is, I mean, this time around it's fine. There's a blue speck here. Can I scratch that off? I don't think I can. Is there anything else? Oh, I did forget to mention, there was some, like, excess plastic right here. Like, I'll have to, like, get that off somehow. But it's kind of weird how that's going on there. Separation blue and red. I mean, it doesn't look too sloppy. It might look a little choppy right here where my thumbnail is. There's that one hand. Here's the fist. The colors are really nice on this. I like the blues and the reds and how vibrant they are. All that looks very good. This Hank Pym. Well, sorry, this is Scott. I forget. This is supposed to be Scott, I'm pretty sure. And if not, please leave the comments down below. I think it could be either. But that Ant-Man butt. Let's go. I don't know what's wrong with me. This is a soft plastic belt piece here. And it kind of wants to ride up a little bit. There is some okay silver paint. Actually, it's better than okay. Actually, there's a little bit of silver on the black there. So there's that. I'm really glad this head sculpt doesn't have any splotching, though. There really is not much else for me to talk about. You guys have seen this body mold over and over again. That's why these Marvel Legends reviews are just going to start getting shorter and shorter just because of how much I've talked about these body molds to death. And then the feet we've gotten before, and then we have the separation of blue in with the red there, and then the muscular legs. So one thing I want to mention with my particular figure, the limbs on these figures lately, man, they've been god awful. Like, look how gummy this is. I really don't feel like it should be this way. I mean, you can still keep a pose, but when I move it around, I'm just afraid something. Yeah, I just don't like it. I just don't. I'm sorry. Some people may not agree, but that's just me, man. It really, really bugs me that this is basically Big League Chew right here. That's insane to me. And then this is all these. God, that's awful. That's so bad to me. You could tell that, like, if it gets hot one day, and if like your room, like the AC goes out and it never gets hot, then these could maybe warp. Honestly, like, I mean, they won't keep the warped pose for a while, but there's a chance it gets warped just a tiny bit. One thing I do want to mention, one last thing before we move on to articulation, these hip joints are really tight, which is usually a good thing, but like, watch this. And I'm grabbing from the thigh so that way it's not like a trickery of like this. Oh, it's just this being wobbly. You're over exaggerating. So I'm going to grab it from the thigh. You're going to see that it moves back in place. That's going to be a problem when you want to pose, precisely with these legs. If you want to kick it out a little bit more, it's not that bad. But even then, I can see it moving back into position just a little bit because of how tight these legs are. I don't like that. And because they're tight, they want to, default to going really, really in, squeezing. So there's just, man, I mean, you can maybe fix that, but like, I don't know. The look overall is fine, even though there's not much effort going into the rest of the body here. The head sculpt's great, but a bunch of other stuff about this just I don't think is super great. Articulation is, pretty basic. Up, down, and side to side here. That's on a disc on this body. Really good butterfly joint. Now, these arms, I do want to mention, they go out all the way here. A lot of times, this little plastic piece will get in the way and it will like stop here. And then it will start to like dig into the plastic on the shoulder. This does not done this. I've done this like maybe 6 times. And there's no problems with any digging in the shoulder. That's sick. Upper arm swivel. We do have double jointed elbows. Swivel at the wrist, hinge at the wrists for all sets of hands. Ab crunch, it goes back that far and then forward. So that's pretty good range of motion there. Waist twist. Legs go out like that. And then the back, not really existent. Splits are actually perfect. So that's actually pretty sick. Thigh swivel is pretty loose, but tight enough as well. There's like a right amount of looseness and tightness, so that's good. Double jointed knees. We do have shin rotation. We also get up and down here, and then ankle rockers. Measuring out this figure, pretty basic size Marvel Legends figure. It's about 16.5 centimeters. So that is going to put this particular figure at about 6.5 inches tall. As you can see with some other Marvel Legends Ant-Man figures here on the right there, we do have that retro version I was talking about. That was like from like 4 or 5 years ago at this point on the Spider-Man body, or the older one. We do also have the Toys R Us exclusive Ant-Man right there, which I think is actually a really underrated figure. And then the Toy Biz one on the far left. They all fit pretty well and scale with each other. I think the 3 Hasbro ones are all about the same height. I think the one in the middle might be the tallest, but just barely. The Toy Biz one is a little bit shorter, and then there's too many Marvel Legends here, so I brought out a Black Series Mando. You can see just how short it is. Overall, I think you guys can tell how I feel about this figure. I'm not particularly a big fan. I don't think it's a god-awful figure, but for 25 bucks, I really do not think it's worth it. I just feel like Hasbro, I say this all the time, I feel like Hasbro is just really phoning it in, just being really lazy. They could have done way more with this release. An unmasked head, a particle effect, a small Ant-Man, anything that isn't just 2 extra hands. I find that really disappointing. A removable helmet would have been cool too, and then that way we would have had our head sculpt there. The actual head sculpt with the helmet is pretty nice. I do think that this body, we've gotten it plenty of times before, but I do think it actually works pretty well with this version of Ant-Man here. I have a paint splotch here or two on my particular figure, which is not amazing, but the rest of the paint is pretty decent. Then there's the molded plastic that they usually do. The gummy joints I don't really care for, but there are other joints that are still pretty solid. I just don't like the hip joints though. They're way too stiff on my figure. Overall, I seem pretty negative, and unfortunately, I don't want to be. It's just I'm not digging it. I'm sorry. 25 bucks, a Target exclusive. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below. What you think about the figure? What you think about the review? Leave a like, share amongst your friends. Follow me on Instagram for more content over there, and I'll see you guys later.